guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Video Game Losers. I, of course, am Dirt, along here with Gamer. And last week we got, or was it last week? No, it was this week. No, it was last week. We got the PS5 reveal.
June 11th. June 11th.
June 11th. What today? Today's the 17th, so that was last week.
Sure.
Right, I think, yeah. So, June 11th we got the PlayStation 5 reveal, so now we've got a lot of information about the Xbox Series X. We've got the PlayStation 5. I did not watch the whole thing, but I read a bunch of the stuff online. You watched the whole thing.
Watched the whole thing.
So, since you watched the whole thing, you've put together a little video, a couple minutes long, talking about some of the games and everything for it. So, before we get started, why don't you say we take a quick look at that video?
Why don't we take a quick look at that video?
PlayStation 5 was revealed on June 11th to thunderous applause, along with the design being revealed and countless memes sprouting up. We also got some new games, and those are what we're going to talk about today. The first game revealed is Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales. While I don't necessarily prefer Miles to Peter, I'm still excited for this game. The gameplay looks very similar to the PS4 game, and that was a great game. The second game was Grand Theft Auto 5. Again, this game is the new Skyrim, being ported to every console imaginable. I honestly won't be surprised if it makes it to mobile devices. Alright, I won't name off every game revealed and my thoughts on them. That would take too long. I'll only do those for the games I really have stuff to say. So without further ado, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Project Athia, Stray, Returnal, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, Destruction All-Stars, Kena: Bridge of Spirits, Goodbye Volcano High, Oddworld: Soulstorm, Ghostwire Tokyo, Jet: The Far Shore, Godfall, Solar Ash, Hitman 3, Astro's Playroom, Little Devil Inside, another NBA game, of course, Bugsnax, Demon Souls, Deathloop, Resident Evil 8, Pragmata, and Horizon 2 Forbidden West. Yeah, it's a lot, but a few stand out to me in particular. Let's start with Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Little Big Planet was probably the first game I fell in love with, and it still holds up to this day. I'm really interested to see where they take this series. Out from 2.5D and making it fully 3D, it looks pretty promising. Astro's Playroom is of course something I've got to talk about, but I absolutely wanted another Astrobot game, and the fact that we got one, that makes me so happy. Look at that little guy. Okay, that's really all I have to talk about. This is just a mini episode. I just want to talk about how much I'm excited for the new console I probably won't get for another 5 years.
Alright, so the PlayStation 5. It is weird looking. It is weird. It's also apparently the biggest PlayStation ever. Which everybody, you know, if you remember the launch of the PlayStation 3, everybody said it looked like a George Foreman grill. It was big. This thing looks to be bigger. From what they can tell from looking at the DualSense Controller, looking at the size of the controller, the size of the buttons and the thumb pad, using those as measurements, measuring out, this looks to be several inches taller than any other console that Sony has ever done. Bigger than... actually, it looks to be more in line with the original Xbox.
So the PlayStation 5 is really tall and thin?
No, it's not thin. That's the other thing.
Oh.
It's not super thin. It deceives you because it's got the white... those white, side pieces that curl around, but the way they're curled, it kind of deceives your eye, but it actually is pretty thick.
Okay, well, I think it looked taller from memory.
Okay, so there are basically going to be two versions. They've announced that there's the regular and there's the one with no disk drive. So that was kind of interesting. They speculate that the disk drive may save some money. You may save about $50 off the price of your console, but we don't know the actual price of the console. So that'll be something to look at. I don't want to go into all of this yet. Let's go to the games, since that's what you covered a lot of in your video. The games we had, it seems like the ones you were most interested in were Astro's Playroom.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Ratchet and Clank. Are those the three?
No.
Well, what was... What?
Ratchet and Clank was one I was interested in, but no, it's not the one. Trying to think now, actually. I have it on the tip of my tongue. See a list again. Oh, Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2.
Oh, Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2. I forgot. That was your other heavy hitter. Yeah, but looking at the games here, there's nothing is really standing out to me as like, oh my gosh, I have to play that out of these launch games. And that is not terribly uncommon with a lot of console launches. Very few have a must-play game right out of the box. There are some that they'll come soon after. So sometimes the console will launch the beginning of November, and then right before Christmas they may drop a big game. Right at the beginning of the new year, there's a big game released for Q1 of the next year. But I mean, I'm looking at this list, and it's like, okay, the Spider-Man Miles Morales, you know, that does look interesting. But again, I've never played through the regular Spider-Man. I started it once. I got about, I don't know, I think 5 or 6 hours into it, and that's as far as I ever got.
Whereas I beat it in 2 days. So.
It's one of those things where I've wanted to go back to it. I just never have. Nothing particularly against it. It's just wasn't my thing right then. And then looking at this, there's a lot of games on here. When you like Destiny 2, this is just an upscale of a game that's already there. Dirt 5. First of all, that's not where my name comes from. Everybody stop. I had my name with Dirt, capital D, lowercase I, capital R, capital T. I've been using that since the mid-90s, since 92, 93, long before this game ever came out. But that just looks like another entry. Nothing special really about that.
We're getting Fortnite!
Yeah, Fortnite, nothing special really there. Grand Theft Auto 5, again, nothing special.
The new Skyrim.
Hitman 3, maybe, but Hitman's had a lot of problems in development recently, so I'm kind of like, you know. NBA 2K21, I know there are people that love that game, but, you know, it's not me, and I'm not really hyped for that. We've got Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, but that's also a cross-platform. Warframe, which of course is already Watch Dogs, Legion, which whatever, World Rally Championship 9, and Ultimate Fishing Simulator. The ones that stand out to me that I think are going to be fun, that when I look at it, I'm like, oh, okay, so Deathloop looks interesting. That's a first-person shooter, time travel type thing. Yeah. So you basically keep starting over, kind of like Edge of Tomorrow. All you need is kill type of thing, where you have to die, start over, get things right as you go along.
I thought it looked interesting. I like the style and aesthetic.
The new Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil Village, that looks interesting. And then the other two games, I like Rainbow Six Siege, but I mean that's already out this generation, so we're just getting a bump up. And then Rainbow Six Quarantine, it's not out yet, but it is coming out for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So again, it's going to be out before for the system. What?
That's very poorly timed, or they did that on purpose.
It's poorly timed because it's actually set like several years in the future. It's set like 4 or 5 years in the future, so it's and the virus. It looks to be some sort of more of a horror themed type game. But I mean, I like the Rainbow Six type games. I like Siege a lot. I played Siege on the Xbox One. Really enjoyed it. It's one of those games that like keeps going. They keep adding more content, keep it going, and we're gonna get it bumped up. Great. One thing though that we did get on PlayStation 5, it will be backwards compatible, and we'll talk about that here in a minute first. But first, one thing they're talking about is cross-generational play. So one thing that they want to do is do something similar to what Xbox is doing. Xbox, let me find it. Xbox announced something called, what was it? The smart download or smart delivery. So Xbox announced smart delivery, and smart delivery gives you the best possible version of a game. So if you buy a game on Xbox One, and it's something that is going to also be on the Xbox Series X, which is what they're calling it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Xbox Series X, then it unlocks on that platform as well. So even though it's a different platform, it's the same game, they're not going to make you buy it twice, which sounds fantastic, right? So no additional cost.
Oh, I can get Fortnite for free!
So,
wait a minute.
Well, maybe they have the other mode. Don't you have to pay for the other?
Yeah.
The Save the World?
Zombie? Yeah.
Whatever.
The cool one?
So maybe that one will be free, since you already bought it. Alright, so PlayStation 5, though, is going to take it a step further. What they are adding is cross-generational play. Meaning not only if you buy it on PlayStation 5, will you also have it available on 4 and possibly vice versa. Like you just buy the game and the game unlocks for both systems. But then you can start the game, say on your PlayStation 4. You get the PlayStation 5, you start playing on the PlayStation 5. But then let's say you have the 5 in your TV room, so you move the 4 up into your bedroom. At the end of the day, you go up to your bedroom and you're like, man, I wish I could continue playing the game. You can pick up where you left off on the 4 upstairs. So you'll be playing the same game. You'll just continue your save, basically, on the 4. And then the next day you come downstairs, you start playing on the 5. It'll pick up your save from the 4 upstairs.
So it's just like cloud data.
Yeah, it'll cloud save and allow you to continue from that point wherever you're at. Now, I don't know if smart delivery is going to do that or not, but it is nice that they're allowing that on here, because then you're not juggling 2 different saves and trying to remember which version of the game you're playing and all that kind of stuff. Okay, now as far as backwards compatibility, there was something, let's see.
We have a lot of press documents here.
We have a lot of press releases and news articles from different places, and different people picked up on different things. So one of the things that they were talking about was the backwards compatibility, and they're saying that PlayStation 4 games will be backwards compatible on PlayStation 5. And the way it initially looked was that it was going to be similar to the way that they did backwards compatibility on the Xbox One, where if you wanted to play a 360 game, they unlocked them in chunks. And I think they did the same thing with 360 with original Xbox games. So here it goes. PlayStation 5 backwards compatible with PlayStation 4 games. Mark Cerny, PlayStation's chief architect, said almost all of the top 100 PS4 games will be playable at launch, and those top 100 games are ranked by playtime. So they basically looked at the stats that were coming through from all the players on all the services and whatever, and looked at the ones that people were playing the most over the history of the PlayStation 4, and they took all of those games, they put them into whatever emulation software they're using for PlayStation 4 on the 5, and they said almost all of them were working, so they're running them through play testing, they're trying to get it going. But it said, based on the presentation, it only focused on how PS4 games will work on the new console. He said, we're expecting almost all of those top 100 PlayStation 4 titles to launch as playable on PlayStation 5. He also said that backwards compatibility, once it's in. So it's built into the software. So unlike the PlayStation 3, when you first bought it, when it came out, it had PlayStation 2 hardware built in, so you could play PlayStation 2 games. Well, then they took out the PlayStation 2 hardware and they did software emulation so you could play most of the PlayStation 2 games, and that saved some money. And then eventually they just got rid of it. You couldn't play any PlayStation 2 games. They stopped supporting it. It just kind of went away, and they saved more money. So the price, that helped bring the price down, but you lost that function. They're saying here it's baked into the system. So you put a PlayStation 4 game in, and once it works, it works. It's never going away. It's built into the system.
Now back to those top 100 games. Which ones do you think will be on there? I'm guessing probably the...
I'm guessing Ultimate Fishing Simulator 1.
Yeah!
If Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2 is going to be a launch title.
Yeah. I'm guessing definitely Fortnite just because of how popular it is.
No, no. You're...
Spider-Man?
No, don't think of games like Fortnite.
Okay.
Because
Stop. A joke.
Oh, okay. Because Fortnite is a downloadable game. It's not a disc game.
I know.
So, okay, all right.
Probably Spider-Man, just because of how popular it is. God of War, whichever of them, I don't know. I just know it's very popular. Maybe Little Big Planet 3.
No, I don't think so. I don't think
4.
I don't think that'll be on there. Oh, Sackboy, the Sackboy Adventure.
Yeah.
Little Big Planet Sackboy.
That's what the
Adventure.
one was.
Yeah, that one looks good. Yeah, that's not on this list. They missed that on this list. I don't know. I mean, I'd say Grand Theft Auto, but it's coming out, so...
Gary the Goal, the VR game. Yeah.
But here's the weird thing, though. So this one said almost all the top 100 games, and the presentation only focused on that. However... PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan, he said that Sony believes that the overwhelming majority of the 4,000 plus PS4 titles will be playable on PS5. So they think what it really comes down to is there's going to be, 80-90% of the games, you're going to be able to put them in and they're going to play and there's not going to be a problem. You may have a little music here or a sound effect there that doesn't work, but for the most part, it's going to be fine. Then you're going to have a handful of games that's going to take some work. So they're going to need to go in and they're going to need to put in some patches and update some code and figure out some workarounds to get specific games to play. And then there's going to be just a handful of games that are just never going to work. That no matter what you do, they work. Use some crazy, quirky little trick in order to max out something in the hardware. They use something to, buffer part of the video memory with AI, and they use some crazy, code juggling trick. And without it being actual hardware, it's not going to work. So there's a handful of games like that just will never work, period. But they believe that most of the games that you have are going to work. And they should work with the disc. Meaning you don't have to pay for a download of the game. You should be able to take your PS4 disc, put it in your PS5, and be able to play it, unlike on the PS4 where you have to keep rebuying old games in order to make them work. This will work with the physical medium.
Except we're getting one without a disc.
Well, yes, in that case, you will have a bit of an issue there. However, there was one other fun piece of information that was discovered. There was a patent filed by Sony. Let's see. PlayStation 5 may support backwards compatibility with all PlayStation games. All 99%. Including those released on PS3, PS2, and the original PlayStation. The patent is for emulation software that allows the PS5 to mimic older consoles through the use of multiple processors. Now, just because they have this patent doesn't mean that they're actively working on it. It doesn't mean it's necessarily going to come out, but it is something that Sony has been looking at. Maybe it's something that they saw the genesis of, so they went ahead and patented it so they can look into it a little bit more. Who knows? But it could be something that is a baked-in feature for the PS5. It could very well be that those PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 discs, you may be able to throw them right in your PlayStation 5, and they will work right out the gate without any other issues, without any problems, and that would be fantastic.
you play the entire Metal Gear Solid series from back to back without a single break.
Well, except for the Game Boy one and the GameCube one.
We don't talk about those.
You know. Well, Twin Snakes on GameCube was fantastic.
Sony doesn't talk about those.
People should talk about that one. That one was good. Let's see, what else do we want to talk about here? Backwards compatibility. Okay. Backwards compatibility on the Xbox, on the other hand. Did we mention that?
Yeah.
All 4 generations of Xbox games will work on the new Xbox One X.
Well, we didn't mention that.
There's something for you. So what they're planning to do with the new Xbox One X is that any physical disc from Xbox 360, or Xbox One, you will be able to put in the Xbox Series X and it'll play. So basically the patent that Sony got for its processors and its systems is something that it looks like Microsoft is already doing with their console. So it may be something that they're both racing to produce good enough results that it's something they can showcase and display out there.
Sony is copying Microsoft. Sorry, what?
Yeah, well. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about
this piece of paper. It's a very nice piece of paper, very white, very, very flat.
There's also talk. So now that we've seen PS5, there's a regular and there's one without a disc drive. This brought back rumors. People had been talking that there was a version of the Xbox One or Xbox Series X without a disc drive that was also in the works. This one was codenamed Project Lockheart. Lockheart did not have a disc drive, similar to the Xbox One S all-digital edition. And this one was... the idea behind this one, supposedly, internally, is that it would be developed as a budget version. So the idea was they would come out with the Xbox Series X, they would sell it this holiday console, and then next summer they would announce this discless one. It would somehow be smaller, it would not have the disc drive, maybe a bigger hard drive, you know, some part of the refresh of the line. They would announce this other one, and there'd be maybe the first initial price drop that would come with the system, or instead of doing the first initial price drop, they would then release this Project Lockheart, and Lockheart would be that cheaper budget option for people that were wanting to save some money and get the system but didn't want to pay whatever the full price happens to be. But again, the problem is without the disk drive, you don't get all the backwards compatibility and all of that kind of stuff going into it. So that is something to keep in mind with that. Both systems are going to have Blu-ray 4K players built in. Both of them are going to output at 8K, which is currently better than 99% of people's TVs. But the idea is it's forward thinking, so they're trying to make it, you know, safe as things go forward in the future.
So how far do they want it to be in the future? Like, how far do you think they want it to last?
5 or 6 years is generally the rule of thumb.
Okay, because I don't think most people will have an 8K TV in 6 years.
But they might, because the price of TVs keeps coming down. You know, 4K TVs are now starting to drop into like the $300 price range, which was unheard of, you know, several years ago.
It's still ridiculous.
I still want a 3D TV. I'm still one of those. They got rid of the 3D technology, and I'm still one of those people. I'll wear the goggles. I don't care. I love 3D.
Yeah.
But anyway,
hashtag bring back 3D TV.
Now, one of the things is that the way the systems are configured, they're both very similar. They both have very similar processors. They have very similar graphics processors. I think the Xbox has a little more RAM than the PlayStation, but the PlayStation has a custom SSD. And the way the SSD is made, it streams the data better. It does a better job of finding the data, seeking the data, pulling the data off of there, and feeding the data into the RAM. So it's kind of a wash, you know, as far as which one is going to be more powerful. Because one of the reasons why you have more RAM is the ability to store more things in it to use. And if you can read the data off the drive faster, then you don't need to store as much that you're using. But one of the programmers with Crytek, the makers of Crysis, engineer Ali Salih. I don't know. He said that the Series X is actually a more complicated console to work with. Reaching the full potential of the PS5 is a breeze compared to working on the PlayStation 1 X. So you may see stuff that looks better right out the gate on the PlayStation 5, but you may end up with things that look better in the long term on the Xbox as people become more comfortable and figure out how to do more with it. It's one of those weird things. It's like with the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3 was considered very hard to program for, but once people learned a lot of the tricks, then you got some really great looking stuff on it, even compared to...
Like
what? With Metal Gear Solid 4.
I've never seen it.
No.
All I know is the first game, and then whichever one Snake is from, and then the new one.
Alright, here's one for you. Astro's Playroom.
Hey!
One of the games you're looking forward to in the PlayStation 5. Rumor is it will come pre-installed on every console.
Don't even pay for it. I have had the trailer running on my laptop this entire time, just set to loop.
So that may be what you get on your console, and then they're talking about bundles will most likely be with NBA 2K21, and then probably Call of Duty will have a bundle. We might get a FIFA bundle.
Can we get a bundle with a cool game?
Price expectations. This is one of the big ones.
$7,000.
Alright, so the PS4 has actually sold better than the Xbox One.
Really?
And that's because the PS4 launched at $399, whereas the Xbox One launched at $499. And that $100 cut was a much better way to get the console into people's hands. The thing was, the $499 price on the Xbox One was because it included the Kinect in every box. So they cut the Kinect out. They dropped the price to $399. That kind of helped them to catch up a little bit, but they had already fallen behind at that point, and PlayStation was already, in the lead. And that's sad because I love the Kinect, and I hate to see it go away. But now they're saying that the PlayStation 5 with the DualSense Controller will have a built-in omnidirectional microphone array, meaning it has multiple microphones built into it around it so it can hear you. So it's going to be good for online chat and gameplay, that kind of stuff. We'll have a built-in headphone jack, so no adapters. You don't have to mess with any of that stuff anymore.
No.
And it may have a built-in AI assistant. So similar to what we have with the Alexa, the Amazon device, similar to what we have with the Google Home, similar to what we have with currently on the Xbox.
Cortana?
Yeah.
From Halo?
And Cortana has actually been scaled back, and so now you just talk to Xbox instead of actually talking to Cortana.
Wow.
But now Sony is apparently building one into their system, so it looks like we may not need the camera.
Yeah.
In the next generation. It looks like Microsoft may also be continuing with their AI as well. Sony building an AI into theirs, so both systems will have one, and they will both run independently, and then we don't have to worry about the camera being there or not. So, if they build it into the system, and we don't need the Kinect for that, then I'm fine with getting rid of the Kinect. We don't really need the camera in the Kinect for anything. The only thing we use a camera for is for the VR on the PlayStation 4, which brings me to something else. Astro's Playroom, or is that what it's called?
Yeah.
One thing about that the first thing I asked you, what was the first thing I asked you about that game?
Is it on VR?
And why did I ask you that?
Because Astrobot Rescue Mission, which was more of like a prequel to this game, or I guess this game is a sequel, whatever. That was a fully VR game, fully VR platformer.
And that's the main reason why we got the PlayStation 4 was for VR. And so I asked him about VR, and he said, no, it's not VR. It's just a regular game. And that made me sad, because I love VR.
I love watching my little robot be blown up to pieces in VR.
Okay, so here's what I found out about VR on PS5. You should not expect a new VR headset at launch, but Sony has big plans for VR going forward.
So it probably will have VR.
So it will have VR down the road. They're working on things like eye tracking. So it'll actually track your eyes. So if your eyes move to the left, it knows to look a little shift to the left. If you look up, it knows to shift up without having to move your whole head. It can do that kind of stuff.
Well, that's just kind of freaky.
It can do things like increase the field of vision. So right now it's just, you've got the two screens right here, and you're kind of limited, in scope to this much. And they're talking about doing a full panoramic view on the next version of the headset.
At this point, just give me AR goggles. It's the same thing.
No, because AR is augmented reality. Yeah. That puts stuff in the room with you. VR is a whole new reality. So if you put on the VR helmet, you're in another place. You're in the forest, you're underwater. You put on AR goggles, and there's a monkey sitting on the table.
Oh, I love him!
I know you love monkeys. Who doesn't love monkeys?
Monkey.
All right, but PlayStation system architect Mark Cerny also said that VR is very important to us, and that the current PSVR headset is compatible with the new system. So we will be able to plug in our headset with the new system and still be able to play VR games. So there will be VR on PlayStation 5. The new headset won't be out right away, though, because Sony has patented a new wireless VR headset. So now they're working on a new headset system that you don't have to have all those dangly cords hanging between your head and the console, which will make it a whole lot easier to travel around with. Because that's one of the big things. At the holiday season, we take the PlayStation and the headset and all the wires and the controllers and everything over to my parents' house, where my sister and her family, that's where they stay when they come to visit. So her kids are there.
Hi, Aunt Kim.
And we all play VR at their house. And the VR is great. Everybody loves the VR there, but it's just one of those things of like hauling everything around and plugging everything in, and we're taking everything apart, labeling everything so you know where everything goes. So that will be so nice to be able to just take it and be able to work with that.
And then you just sit there and watch your little cousin play Beat Saber, like...
You put it on no fail. Let's see. So, what do we have here? Oh, Sony. Sony also, sources at Bloomberg are saying that Sony is slowing down their production. They're only anticipating shipments of 6 million consoles through March of 2021, between the launch and 2021, whereas the PS4 sold 7.5 million, so 1.5 million less consoles. It seems that they're anticipating less demand, and it may be because they're going to ask a higher price. Something I read said that the cost to build the PlayStation 5, you can't get real numbers, but there are a lot of people in the industry that look at what's in there and they can kind of guess, what it costs. They're guessing it's going to cost Sony $450 per console in order. I just answered the phone in the other room. I hit the wrong button. So now someone's going to be talking to an empty room. So that's cool. So it's going to cost them $450 to make the console.
Man.
And generally what happens is they'll make a console and then sell it at a loss, but that's not what happened with the PlayStation 3. That's why PlayStation 3 was $599. It was so expensive. So the question is, where is Sony going to go with this price with its $450? If they go with $499, it's a little pricey, but that may be the same price ballpark that Sony's looking at with Microsoft is looking at with the Xbox Series X. So $500 may be what you're looking at for a while, and if it's $500, we're going to be waiting a while before we pick one up.
Has to get to at least $150 before we can pick it up.
$150. The DualSense Controller, though, besides having the built-in headphone jack and the microphone array. They have the triggers now have like a tension system. So basically, if let's say you're using it for the gas pedal in a driving game, and you're going over rocky terrain, it'll have feedback pushing back when you're hitting the hard parts of the ground, so it makes it harder for you to hit the gas at those points. If you're doing something like a shooting game, every time it's like reloading or whatever, it would lock you out, so you wouldn't be able to do it. So certain things like that. And then it has haptic feedback as opposed to rumble. So right now you play it and you punch something and it just kind of shakes, right?
Yeah.
And it shakes a little bit or it shakes a lot. Well, now the idea is with the haptic feedback is it different parts of it, like all over, could have some sort of feedback. It could be a little bit, it could be a lot, it could feel like soft taps, or it could feel like there's something hard trying to punch out. I've heard it described several different ways. So we'll have to kind of wait and see exactly how it plays out, but the idea is it feels more like there's something inside trying to get out that's giving you feedback as opposed to just shaking. That's why it's called the DualSense as opposed to the DualShock. Alright, so...
To the last piece!
So the predicted price for the PS5, they're looking at $499. The next update of information... Is it past your bedtime? You keep
Yeah, I'm kind of tired. You're boring me.
Kept you up late today. Possibly July is when we're going to get the next update with any information about the system. Launch bundles, Call of Duty, NBA 2K21, and then they said some stores may do something specific, like GameStop. For a while, they were putting Spider-Man with PS4. Even if it wasn't an official bundle, they bundled it themselves.
Yeah.
So we may see that with Miles Morales. If Sony doesn't make an official bundle, we may see places pick a game like that and make an unofficial bundle. We may also see that with something like Ratchet and Clank to make it more of a family-friendly bundle there for the kids. Let's see... Sony Interactive Entertainment President CEO Jim Ryan recently hinted that the PS5 price tag may be closer to being decided, and the PS5 may not have the lowest price in the battle against the Xbox Series X. So we don't know the price of the Xbox yet. We don't know the price of the PS5. They're kind of waiting for each other. They may be doing the same type of thing that happened before, where Microsoft announced their price, so Sony came in $100 cheaper because they didn't have the bundled-in camera.
Yep.
They got rid of their camera, so the same type of thing may be happening here, but Sony's getting ready to say, hey, even if they do their price first and then we come out with our price, we may still not be cheaper. We may not undercut them. He's expecting this to be an expensive console. So I don't know if he knows something about the Xbox pricing. Maybe theirs is going to be $399 and Sony's is going to be $499. Maybe Sony's is going to be $599. If it's a $600 console again, eesh, that's going to be tough. Let's see. Another thing that Sony is doing is 3D audio. They're releasing their own special headphones with the system that you can see in some of the information. They're creating their own. I don't know if it's their own, but they're using this 3D technology. It's going through this special chip, and it's a 3D immersive sound system, and it uses extra power, which causes extra heat, which is part of the reason for that design. Because those folds that are coming around are because there are vents that are pulling the heat out. So part of that design is pulling the heat, and part of that heat is coming from the new 3D sound system. Now, if you're not using the headphones, and you're like us, and you're just using the speakers that are built into your TV, you don't have...
I like to use headphones.
Well, but not when you're watching TV down here.
Oh, no.
That's what I'm saying, though. When
I thought you meant for gaming, for like video game losers, not video TV losers.
Look, when you're playing games on your Chromebook...
You want me to? I can pull up Plants vs. Zombies Heroes.
Anything else? Sony launched.
We'll talk about the memes.
Nah. You put some of those in your video, that's fine. Australia, I feel bad for Australia. Australia, you're going to be paying probably $6.99 to $7.49 for these consoles when they come out.
That's upside downest.
But that's, I mean, you're used to that, right? So, I mean, that's just part of the price you pay for being in Australia, buying electronics. So anyway, a lot of stuff on PS5. I did ask several, maybe even a month ago, on the official PlayStation Network group, what people's thoughts were on the Xbox Series X versus PlayStation 5. Chris Knoll said, I'm leaning towards Xbox, but PS5 exclusive games are so much better overall in his opinion. But he's going to wait until after the new year. So he's not jumping in this holiday season. He's going to wait to see what happens with the games. He's going to wait for them to come out before making that decision. Willis Wheeler said, PSVR is going to work on the PS5, but 3D is dead, which I hate because I got a 3D TV too. Me too, Willis! I will get a PS5 first, since the new Xbox will not have any exclusives for the first 2 years. I don't know that is still true. So originally, early on, one of the things they were saying with the Xbox One X is that with the cross-platform, backwards compatibility, everything, that the games that you get on Xbox One will be upscaled or up-textured or look better when you play them on the Series X. But it didn't look like there were going to be any new games. Well, it looks like there may be some that are yet to be announced. Maybe some big reveals that they were kind of holding on to and waiting to announce over this summer. So hold on to that one. But anyway, but he does say it makes it feel like less of a rush to get it because there aren't as many exclusives for the Xbox One X. But, I mean, again, looking at the exclusives that there are going to be, the actual exclusives, there's only like one or two, and I don't know, that doesn't to me really feel like I have to run out and buy a console. Like, I'm still happy with the systems we have now. There's really going to need to be something huge to make me want to buy one of these next-gen consoles, and I don't see that yet for me. Mitchell Milligan says that he's going with the PS5. He's already decided right now that's where he's going. And Ben Fink says, you seem to have forgotten that the Switch can double as a portable system. And for him, the Switch beats out both of those.
Yeah, but can the Switch play Astrobot or any VR game?
Or PSVR? Yeah, I was going to say. Well, I guess the Switch does have VR. It's just terrible. It's part of Labo.
4 stages on Super Smash Brothers. 3 stages in Mario Odyssey.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, the compatible with VR.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, only 4 stages. You can't even play Smash Brothers. You have to watch bots fight.
But it's Smash Brothers, so who cares? It's terrible. And I've never played Odyssey, so.
Hey, can everyone
I need to get into Odyssey, though. I do need to play that. All right, back to our last review, talking about Pac-Man. Last week's episode, Tommy Fletcher wrote in. He said, great episode. I was born in early 1973, so I remember the Pac-Man craze. I was already a video game lover, but I was more into the sci-fi games, so I love that everybody wanted to play it because it freed up other games. He did, I asked him if he had the Pac-Man Fever record and if he sang along with it, and he said yes, but the Frogger song he did not understand. We talked a little bit about the lyrics, and the opening line to the Frogger song on the Pac-Man Fever album says, "Puff your magic wagger, Froggy." And he goes, what does that even mean? And I said, I don't know. It's disco, it's the 70s, it's drugs. I'm sure there's something to do with all of that. Who knows, as far as that goes.
I saw a comment that said Fortnite.
That was from the toy review?
Oh.
Those were just all the comments. That wasn't that episode. Okay. That was everything.
Okay.
That was channel comments. And then going back 2 episodes ago, we got a new comment from Ted Wilson, my cousin. Unfortunately, I forgot to ban him. But he said between the DualShock and the Xbox controller, he votes for the DualShock as well, same as I did. So I think maybe I made a mistake. I must have.
I generally prefer Xbox controllers because they fit in my hand better, whereas PlayStation controllers just feel too small and easy to break.
Easy to break? Oh, yeah. Settle down, Samson. You're not that strong.
They feel like they're like weak plastic.
Whatever. All right, guys. That's gonna do it for this episode. I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget you can email me dirt@popculturenetwork.com or dirt@thepopc.net. You can also find Gamer
on YouTube for the gamers. No, not Twitter anymore.
You're not on Twitter anymore?
No, I'm kind of leaving it.
Oh, you shut it down? Too much? Yeah, Twitter drama?
Yeah, there's... Ugh.
Yeah, Twitter's a cesspool. I try to stay off Twitter as much as I can, but it sucks you in sometimes. You can't help it.
The memes are good, but everyone else kind of sucks.
But we do always put a link to his channel down below. Also, a link to him on Twitch, so you can find it there as well.
I do live stream on Twitch. Generally try and do it at least once a week.
All right, you can also call our 24-hour voicemail line. It's area code 217-953-4025. You can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and leave a voicemail message, which we can find. If you leave a clear and concise and clean one, we might actually play it and respond to it here on the show. Don't forget our Teespring store. We've got some t-shirts up there, pillows, wall tapestries, all kinds of stuff for that new toy smell. We're going to be adding some other stuff soon, so if you want to see Pop Culture Network logo stuff, Video Game Loser stuff, maybe even a picture of Gamer on a dartboard. I don't know if they do dartboards, but maybe it's something we can work out. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Can we stop making noise, please? I don't think anybody cares.